Welcome to the Grace Story Podcast, where inspiring stories are brought to life. This podcast is made possible by Grace College and Seminary, located on the shores of Winona Lake in the great state of Indiana. I'm your host, Dr. Drew Flam. This is the Grace Story Podcast. Today on the podcast, we have Marcus Moore. Marcus serves at Grace as the women's tennis coach in his 5th season here at Grace. Also serves as the school's athletic admissions recruiting coordinator, which is a mouthful. In 4 seasons, Moore has taken the Lady Lancers to new heights as coach. He was honored nationally as the 2021 NCCAA National Coach of the Year. Marcus played men's tennis and basketball during his undergraduate time at Grace from 2004 to 2008 and is considered a legend on the hardwood, graduating second all-time for the Lancers in career points. Marcus, it's great to have a legend in studio.
Yeah, so thanks for being here, Rick.
So my first question is tennis. So everybody knows the Moore family, basketball, the lore of Columbia City. So tennis, did you grow up playing tennis? How'd you get into tennis?
So in the fall, kind of going into freshman year of high school, stopped playing football. Didn't really have a lot to do and was kind of just, where do I fit in for the fall or the spring? Wanted to stay active and busy in athletics. And I had a couple buddies who are older than me that played tennis, and they were like, hey, you should come play tennis. So I started, kind of in the summer practicing for the first time, picked up a racket. Really, really enjoyed our high school tennis coach. At that time, he was a middle school math teacher that I had that I really liked. So I thought that was a good fit, and started freshman year, fell in love with it instantly, and did it for 4 years in high school. So that kind of got my passion started following it professionally a little more at that time as well.
We're going to quiz you on some Eastern European names at the end
excellent.
Of this. Yes,
as long as I don't have to spell them. That's great. Too many vowels. So just kind of fell in love with the sport. It was a great distraction, I think, from basketball. I think that was, one of the main things is just, growing up, there's a lot of stuff going through basketball and with your family and your brothers and competing and whatnot. So I needed an outlet, and I have zero music talents whatsoever. I enjoy music, but that's the extent of it. So my outlet quickly became tennis.
And you played tennis at Grace. Was that the plan coming into Grace? Hey, I'm going to do this basketball
Great
tennis
question.
thing.
So it wasn't. I thought I was kind of done, and then I had Coach Grill again for a class, Mike Grill, and he was instantly became one of my favorite professors, much like everybody else who had him for psychology. And at that time, I don't think they had a large roster. And I befriended some kids who were on the tennis team, and it was kind of just the same thing in high school all over again. Hey, man, you should play. I was like, I'd love to. I'm not very good anymore, or maybe I wasn't at all. So, talked to Coach Grill, and then my sophomore year, he just said, hey, would you like to come out? We'd love to have you. And, I thought playing for him would be awesome, much like my high school coach. And again, it was a wonderful decision. I played for 2 years, my sophomore and junior years at Grace. Then when Coach Grill stepped down, which was, one of the main reasons I decided to play. At that time, our team had expanded. We'd gotten a little bit better, so they definitely did not need me anymore. So that was the extent of my college playing, but enjoyed it. It was a lot of fun for those 2 years.
I want to get back to the relationship part because you talk about that significantly in your own coaching and reason for being at Grace. And so that's obvious part of your story is tennis and relationships. But what do you like about the game itself? This is fun. What about it?
Yeah, I think, we talk about this with our guys and our girls. I like the team aspect in which you're on your own island essentially in tennis, right? Like it's looked at as an individual sport, but I think if you have the mindset is your job is to take care of everything that you can do as an individual for the betterment of your team's success, and it kind of come full circle. I like that aspect of it. I just like, the dependability of, hey, if I struggle today, it's on me. It's not on anybody else. But I want to do everything I can to make sure I'm successful so my team's successful,
Yeah.
So I like that aspect of it.
Whereas basketball is kind of like a true team sport. It's 5 people together doing. Tennis is is both, right? It's a team
Right.
sport, but there's definitely an individual. You got to take care of
Definitely.
your match.
Definitely. And I enjoyed that. I liked that pressure of just like, okay, if I'm struggling, I can figure out a way to get out of this. Or if things are going well, how do I continue to stay focused? It's just, you're in your own head and you take care of that, and you adapt as an individual. You're not worrying about other teammates, and just hope that they're taking care of business themselves, and you come together and hopefully you won more than the other team did. And if you did, it's a good night.
Tell us a little bit about the women's team at Grace, and what, in the last 4 years, now 5th year, what has been sort of your guiding principles, or what are you hoping to get out of the team? You've obviously achieved success on the court, so there's been some good recruitment there. But what do you like about it? What's been sort of your emphasis as a coach?
Well, it's funny you say success, and people say that, and I always laugh because I haven't won a match since 2006. So, that's a good point. When Scott took over, this is a great story. With some transition going on at that time, they didn't have a women's tennis coach. So they asked Scott, my twin, to do it. And at that time, I had already coached on the guys and the girls side at the high school level, because at that time I was teaching high school business. So he kind of was like, "Hey man, would you like to do this with me?" And I was floored. I was like, "I'd love to. One, I'd love to coach with you. That'd be a lot of fun. We fought for so long that it'd be nice to actually do something together that was meaningful, and we weren't at each other's throats all the time." So, really him kind of just getting in, and I always say, like, just Scott can coach anything. If you can coach, you can coach. He can coach a blade of grass to grow, and I believe that. And he did some really good stuff with recruiting. We weren't very good, but one thing I heard, and it's always stuck with me, is in college, recruit the team you enjoy losing with. And that's never left me, right? If you're going to spend some time. Now, at that time, I wasn't married yet, didn't have kids, young enough to kind of, again, travel and stay out long, get up early and kind of do that whole spectrum. And it was a little bit just, okay, let's get the right fit of people in here first, and then we slowly did that. We weren't great early, but then we got a couple girls who were talented. And then I think over time, talented people want to play with talented people.
Yeah.
And it kind of just evolved from there year after year to the point where we kind of had a makeup and a changeover of getting one really, really talented girls and great people who love the Lord and want to come to Grace. And just finding that battle. So fast forward 5 years now, the most important thing, hands down, and I tell us when we recruit the girls, is that is our culture will never change, right? Like, I don't care how good we are, because that's never left me. It's never left me. Recruit the people you enjoy losing with. Now, thankfully, they're really talented, so we don't have to go through a lot of that. We still go through some, but we don't have to experience that on a grand level. But I recruit, if I'm going to spend time away from my wife and my 4-year-old, I'm going to do it around people I enjoy being around.
Yeah.
And those are long days. We have double headers on Saturday that are 16-hour days with travel. And I love this group, and they will be very successful this year on and off the court, which is exciting.
So I love this. It's recruit the students who are the right fit for Grace College. They love the Christ-centered community. Yep. They want to be a part of this campus. They provide the right culture on your team, and eventually you're going to build the kind of team that good people and players want to be on.
Yeah.
And that takes some time, but
Definitely.
You've obviously seen that success.
Well, the cool
happen.
transition is, high school tennis is probably more individual based. We talked about the individual aspect, we talked about the team aspect, and high school tennis, a lot of the girls that we recruit, they're far and away the best player on their team, and their team probably isn't very good, and they may be really, really good. So now they're coming from a new dynamic where almost everyone on our team is really, really talented, right? But I think they desire and they long for that community and that team to be successful, and it's transpiring, again, that convincing of, all I need you to do every night is play as well as you possibly are capable of with all the given variables. Yeah. And if you can handle that, we're either going to win or we're going to lose. That's literally the two outcomes we have. We're going to win or we're going to lose. And I'm okay with either of those if you just bring it. And I think they go through that, and they go through it together, and they're like, you know what? I didn't play really well today, but our team won, and I'm excited about that. And when you get people to buy in, then it's just that much more enjoyable. And that's where we're at right now. I really believe that.
So 2021 Coach of the Year. I'll repeat that a couple times throughout. Now you're coming into a new season.
Yeah.
You mentioned you have a freshman playing number one, so that bodes well. You've had how many matches so far?
Just one so far.
One.
We just got started.
Go ahead and let the audience know who you played and what the score was.
Yeah,
in that
that was
one.
good. That was the Pilots from Bethel. And we were able to beat him 7-0. It was a shutout, which is always good to beat your rival. Something I'm really proud of, and we do have a senior graduating who has gone her whole career without losing to Bethel, which is in the Grace College Lancer era is pretty important in our book. So that was a notch that she's definitely proud of.
So what are some hopes and goals for this season with the group that you have?
Yeah, going in every year, I think with expectations, we rarely set a win expectation. I think those are great to have, but just there's so much going on. We're balancing. We have two wonderful freshmen, and they get in, and for 2 weeks they're doing nothing but tennis, and now they're slammed with tennis and 18 credit hours, right? So they've never gone through that before, and how do they manage that? So we're managing that, and I have upperclassmen who I'm super blessed to say are incredibly involved on campus. Our student body president is a junior. We have a lot of other kids who are really involved on campus. And again, when we recruit them, we say that. You're not a tennis player.
That, yeah.
Absolutely. We want you to have a footprint on campus. And I think we have 8 girls who absolutely do that, right? But with that comes just a lot of stress and anxiety and kind of just battling through. So in terms of expectations, at the beginning of the year, I really let them set those. Like, what do you guys want out of this season? Do you want to have fun? You want to focus on winning matches? Do you want to eat at the best restaurants? Whatever you want to do, we'll create a blueprint and we'll do the best we can to follow that and see if we can achieve that. And that's what we can measure success on. I think it's just so easy as a 17 and 18-year-old. You strictly base success on whether you won or you lost. I mean, that outcome is your success point, right? And we always talk about in tennis, you can play really poor and still win. And it's just at some point that fulfillment's still a little empty. Like, I want to play really well and win, right? Or you can play really well and lose. And it's just kind of finding that balance of just, did you bring it? Did you play as best as you possibly could? Did you get better throughout the year? Is your IQ improving? So those are a lot of things we touch base on.
That's great.
Yeah.
So your other role at Grace is to help with recruitment in general. One of the things that has been an emphasis over the last, really since you've come, has been adding more club sports, adding some JV sports, just giving more students the opportunity to play something that they're interested in. Tell me what that has been like for you to sort of be engaged, not just in tennis, but in the whole athletic program, and what have you seen over the last 4 or 5 years?
Awesome. Well, 2 things I'm really, really passionate about. I obviously love sports, and I am truly blessed to work at what I think is the best institution in the entire world. I love Grace. I love athletics. So my job, I think, is quite easy. I literally get to sell what I'm passionate about. I don't have to reach for anything. So again, the best parts of my day outside of seeing the kids and teaching, which I really enjoy being in the classroom still, is meeting with prospective students and parents. And essentially I don't have to really sell them on anything. We're talking about this is who we are. And I always say, Grace isn't the perfect place, but it really could be the perfect place for that kid or that athlete, regardless of what they're looking for an experience. So I think our job is to figure out what that is, try to cultivate it, to make sure we're delivering on what we're promising, and hoping to see them grow throughout and then graduate in 4 years or 3.5 years or 5 years, whatever that is, with a Grace College degree and move on and make an impact for others. So I always say I I think the best job on campus.
So give an idea, because you have a great job. You have a really big job. So give us a little bit of scope of maybe some numbers or close to numbers of, how many athletes do we have, or how many athletes are you bringing in a year into the athletic program? How many sport teams? Just give us a few of those kind of stats that give people an idea of.
Definitely.
This is pretty big.
Well, about 5, 6, 7 years ago, we were bringing in probably on average anywhere between 80 and 100 athletes on campus a year. And for the past 3 years, we've averaged right around 140. Now, part of that is growing varsity and JV rosters and the inclusion of club sports, which we're really excited about. And I hope that, and we'll talk more about the club sports, but we're hoping to expand on those to be able to bring. Obviously, our campus is only so big. We only have so many athletic fields. We only have so many trainers. So at some point in time, it kind of comes to a stoppage in regarding how many kids are too much. But we're at a really good position because about 30%, I think, of our total undergrad students are involved in athletics in some way. And that's a really healthy number. We've found we don't want it to be too high, but obviously we want it to be over that 25% range. So that's growing. I think here in the next year or two, because that's grown over the past 3 years, you're going to see a lot larger graduate classes. We had a small graduating class this year, which was hard because we're bringing in 3 times essentially, or 2.5 times the amount of kids who are graduating. So it's finding that balance. And I think now in year 4, we have a lot of data and we have a lot more information that allows us just to be a little more strategic on when, how, where, why we add kids in the right fit. And I'm excited about the expansion of the club sports, and I hope to see those evolve and add more if space and time allows it.
So talk about some of the club sports that are currently, or that have been added in the recent past.
So 2 big ones that we have, among others, are bowling and esports, which are great. My wife comes from a family of bowlers, so I really enjoy bowling. It definitely brings out my competitive side. So we're in a coaching transition there, but once we get someone set, we're really excited about just the continue.
Bowling's one of those sports that's kind of like coming back into its
absolutely.
own, right? Yeah, I mean,
it's like short shorts with kids today. Back when basketball, when I played, the shorts were past your knees, and now they're, the kids are rolling their shorts 4 or 5 times.
Yes,
showing off the legs. So. It is coming back in style. It's great, and we have a great facility. We're really excited about our partnership with the bowling alley on 15. Esports, again, it's one of those. It's not only growing regionally, it's growing nationally. It's growing internationally. If you're not involved in esports, you're essentially behind now. So we're excited about the expansion of that. We have a wonderful facility in the Gordon Rec Center where kids can come in and check that out. We have shooting sports and bass fishing. It's exciting. Every time I talk to some kids, I always look at where they're from in hopes that, they're from a rural area. Maybe they've done some hunting or fishing. And I always mention that in my meetings. I know our admissions counselor do. And we have a lot of raised eyebrows from moms and dads. You have a bass fishing team. Believe it or not, we do.
And we have a sweet boat.
And we have a great boat.
And it's usually not. Most people know we have a Grace boat, but they may not know that we've also been given a bass boat that is phenomenal as well.
So, and then women's rugby, we're adding that. We have some. That's a sport that's growing. Tyler Scott's doing a great job with that, and we continue to hope to get some more involvement in that. So we have some great opportunities in club sports, especially with those kids that are athletic. They've enjoyed athletics. They like the team camaraderie and what it brings. But they know coming to college that it's just a different dynamic. So those kids, we're looking for those who want to earn a little more scholarship money, but don't want the time commitment of being a full-time varsity or JV athlete and what comes with that, because it's a lot, but still want to be involved some way. So if you are listening, we will always grow our club sports, and we're excited about the expansion of all of them.
So if somebody is listening and says, oh, yeah, I didn't realize you had, bowling, esports, shooting, and it could, for some of those, you don't even have to be, like a champion at this point. It's just, wow, that sounds interesting to me. I'd love to be a part of a club and just grow.
Definitely.
It's not just about the competition. It's about the camaraderie. It's about having that Christ-centered community in something that you're passionate about. But if somebody says, man, I'm interested, or my son or daughter might be interested, or my grandkid might be interested, what's the best way to kind of get started in learning more about, how someone might get engaged?
Sure. That's the best way, I think, right now is probably just to contact me in any way. And I love getting any email that has anything to do with club sports. I mean, those are the one I kind of sit up in my seat for and make sure that we respond as soon as possible, because those kids are really, really important, because they're showing like, okay, I have athletic interest. Maybe I'm not being actively recruited or as much as maybe some others, but I have some talent or ability, or I just want that additional, that team camaraderie that you talked about that I may be missing in some other things, that involvement, that, that student life. So, just I would say most colleges now have, we need to probably work on the name. I need to work with somebody. Maybe you can get something done on athletic recruiting coordinator. Maybe we'll shorten that down or make it an acronym or something. But most colleges have what I would consider my position to be now. And if you'd like to check those out, fine. But we prefer you reach out to Grace first. We can get you in the right spot.
So go to gclancers.com.
Yep.
You can easily find your contact information there. Make sure you get the right more. We're talking Marcus here.
The good news is, if you do send Scott an email, he will always forward that to me. He's
good.
Yes.
And if you're 6'7" or above, he might respond himself.
He will probably keep. Yeah. If you're over 6'7", then he'll probably keep that. And
start recruiting you himself.
Exactly.
That's great. Yeah. Well, I appreciate you taking the time just to give us a little bit of overview about your role as women's tennis coach and club sports. And you have been a wonderful addition to this campus. And you even mentioned teaching, and we didn't get into that. And I saw you teaching the other day, and you were up there excitedly, passionately investing in students who aren't necessarily athletes. And so just appreciate the many ways that you're invested in Grace College.
Appreciate it. Thank you very much.
And appreciate all you listening today to the Grace Story podcast. Our music was provided by Dr. Wally Brath, Assistant Professor of Music. Also, thank you to Chinggis and to Rick for being our co-producers. If you could share, like, and post this wherever you find it, we would be so appreciative. Until next time, live your best Grace Story today.